Hello, the internet. I'm Josh Allen, aka Lore. With me, I have Mike B, aka Fony.
Hello, internet.
It's better if you put a "the" in there. You address the internet as the internet.
Oh.
Like, hello, the internet.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was a capital I when I did it, though.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. It was proper trying to address it, you know.
It's like, greetings, citizens of the internet. I would say that we have a lot of things to talk about today. But we do, so I'm not going to, because that would be weird. Why would I say that?
Why would you say that?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I was like, wait, do we not? Because I'm looking at things.
Yeah, we have a pretty big list.
I thought we do.
It's pretty good. We should keep teasing about how we have like this big list of things and not ever actually talk about any of them. That'd be pretty good. Now that we've gotten everybody's hopes up for this episode, just teach them a lesson. Just be like, it's in the title, damn it.
I thought we were going to keep rolling with the whole not a lot of stuff happened this week and then like have an hour and a half show anyways. Like, I thought that was the plan, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's been every episode so far.
Pretty much, exactly.
So, bunch of stuff going on this week.
Yeah.
I've been super busy because this little patch is rolling out on Tuesday called 6.0.2. Well, it's called the Iron Tide, but more people would know of it as World of Warcraft patch 6.0. Mm-hmm. And yeah. This is actually one of the more like game-changing expansion pre-patch patches that's happened, because it's got like the stat squish, it's got all the ability pruning. So like, unlike a lot of other expansions where, okay, the expansion comes out but I still have all the same abilities and I'm gonna earn some more later, it's like the expansion came out, or the pre-patch came out, and now I have fewer abilities than I did a couple of days ago. It's got a couple of features. I'm actually pretty excited for it, like as a player, because of like the pre-made groups feature, which is super awesome for like like finding arena partners at 3:00 in the afternoon, stuff like that. Which it has skirmishes also, which is super cool. Those are the unranked arenas that you can like solo queue or like duo queue in, which is super cool. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, I have to figure out what the hell class I'm gonna level in Warlords.
Why don't you just stick with one? Oh, never mind. I forgot you have like a ton. So
yeah, I have every class at 90.
Oh my god.
And 2 druids for some reason.
Well, I mean, it's...
Yeah. Which, honestly, druid is, like, my overall least favorite class, probably. So
you just wanted to make sure, though.
I just wanted to make sure, yeah. Yeah, just double check.
Yeah. You get the last one, the second one to 90, you're all like, oh, yeah, nope, definitely don't like this one.
Yeah, well, it's the only class where I don't really like either the DPS specs. Like, Feral... Since I've spent so long playing a rogue, Feral to me feels like a rogue minus some of the stuff that's cool. And balance, I just have never been able to wrap my head around balance. Mm-hmm. I really like Resto, though. Resto's really fun. So yeah, that's news.
So 6.0 is, and I'll be honest, I kind of, there's like that more of the high level stuff, right? You could blame Destiny for some of this. The stat squish is that's something that we were teased a long time ago. Not necessarily teased as in like it's coming, but kind of like we're toying with this. And even when it was like one of those things where it's like that could possibly be a thing, that, you know, we'll go from doing, you know, millions of damage to doing like, you know, about $1,000 or so, about 350, right? Just the thought of it was pretty. It had a lot of impact. You know, people were like, I don't know, how can I go from doing this to this? Like, how is it going to make people feel? I think the people that were actually doing that damage, the big damage, were like, oh, thank God, I can actually see how much damage I'm doing. And also, it helps get everything else kind of under control for, you know, for the ongoing lifespan of World of Warcraft, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. And like like the big numbers is definitely a thing for a lot of people. Like I'll crit a chaos bolt. Well, they always crit, but like I'll crit a chaos bolt for 2 million on live, and I'm like, wait, was that 2 million or 200,000? I can't. Like, there's too many digits past a certain point, and I can't actually tell what it was. And like there could be like commas and stuff in there too, which is what Diablo did to deal with it. But yeah, I feel like the stat squish is a good thing. It's the sort of thing that a lot of people are worried about in theory, but like once you actually get into the beta and you start playing, like it just feels a lot more natural. Mm-hmm. Like you're like, oh man, I hit that guy for 20k and that was a lot. And it feels pretty good, I think. I think there's a lot of things about this, like the ability pruning too is one that a lot of people are sort of theoretically worried about because like they don't like the idea of it. Because they're worried about like now I only have 4 buttons to push or something, but it just doesn't work out that way.
That means I could use a controller for the game, man. Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far.
Come on. Oh yeah. Okay, sure. That makes sense.
But
yeah, I'm in the position where I've actually not gotten into the beta very much, or into PTR, into anything to test out any of this stuff. I've actually been kind of vicariously experiencing some of this stuff through like Perk and Olivia from Wowhead, where they talk about the garrisons a lot. That's for damn sure. So apparently that's going to be a thing. I've only seen the videos, and I've actually got an opportunity to go in there and try it for myself. So I'm looking forward to just taking a day off and just riding the wave of just, firsts of just going in and just leveling my warrior up to max, and then just, hitting it within the first. I don't know if I could do it in the first day. Like previously, we've done that before.
Yeah. Yeah, it's.
Well, like actually, wait. If I recall, I did it. You fell asleep.
I did fall asleep. Yeah, okay. That was Cataclysm. Yeah.
I know it was a while ago, and I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. And then you didn't even like try and miss, and that was where I did it in like 17 hours. So.
Whoa! No, fuck you.
You didn't even try.
I couldn't try. It was because Gary screwed me over. God damn it. I was like, hey man, I don't want to do these news things tomorrow because I'll do a little news video blips thing, right? They're like little 2-minute news pieces. And I didn't want to do them that next day because I was like, I want to do this. I wanted to level my character up and right at launch. And he was like, oh no, because this thing, whatever. And the thing is, like at the time, like I blame him, but it's like I could have just said fuck you and just gone and done it, honestly.
Right.
But I believe that what I was doing at the time made sense. Looking at it now, it's kind of like, not so much. But I should just level my character up.
Yeah.
The site could have gone without a couple of videos for one day. Stories would have still been there. But yeah, so I missed that wave. So you're right. You did beat me in Mom. Yeah. So does that mean it's on for WAD? Is that it?
Well, that's the thing. I don't even know if when I'm going to get a chance to play in Warlords yet, because there's obviously a high possibility that I will have to be doing something on launch night. Maybe I don't know if I honestly have no idea if there's a release party being planned or something that I'll have to go to. Do I got to go hang out at a GameStop somewhere? I don't know. So I'm I don't know. I'm gonna have to play the work is making me not level this time card.
Well, that's no fun.
I'll call in sick. They won't suspect me at all.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah.
No, I really can't come into work tonight. I've got the mumps.
Yeah, I got what was it? Oh, Ebola. Yeah, there you go. No, that one's a little too. I guess it's a little too serious. Is there something that's half a step below that? Just say that. Say it's kind of like Ebola, but it's not. So I'm out today. I can only stay in bed and play WoW. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I've caught the hunter. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, WoW 6.0 on Tuesday. Super cool.
So does that mean all day maintenance?
Yeah. I hope not.
This could be the one time, man.
I mean, they do have a lot of stuff that they have to do, like squishing everything and so on. I don't know what all that's going to entail on the server side of actually applying the patches and everything. So, yeah, there's a lot of changes happening. But fingers crossed, maybe it'll be fine. Knock on wood.
It'll be interesting to get in there and hit a target dummy.
Yeah.
I should get in there and hit it. Go to a target dummy right now with my 19 twink, and then that way I set the bar, I set the standard, and then when I get back on my 90 and I'll hit for about the same, it won't feel that different. I'll be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. That's about where I'm at. I'm pretty sure that's where the curve sits right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of other things that are happening, I feel like that's a segue that can always work anywhere. So speaking of things, so did you hear about this Assassin's Creed thing with the like 30 frames per second, 900p, like on both Xbox One and PS4? Because reasons. Like they came out and said, so Ubisoft was like, no, we're gonna keep it at. Well, first they were saying it's going to be at 30 frames per second, 900p on the Xbox One. And so people naturally were like, well, okay, that's because the Xbox One isn't really like up to snuff compared to the PS4 in terms of the actual hardware specs. So that makes sense. Okay, they have this awesome game that they made for PS4 in order to make it run on the Expo, and they had to chill it out a bit. And then they were like, oh, no, we're going to do that on the PS4 too. And like their reasoning for it was like, we don't want people to have to decide which platform to get it for or something. Like they're gonna have to do that anyway. It's gonna be which platform they have.
Yeah.
That was silly.
The whole
and then,
thing.
like,
Yeah,
go ahead. I was gonna say, and then like they're talking about like in terms of defending that decision. Like I don't really think there's any way to defend. Oh, we're gonna have it be at a lower resolution on the PS4 than it could have been, because people like to see their pixels. I don't think there's any real good way to argue that one. But like the reason they said for 30 frames per second was like, well, it's more cinematic that way. And they even went so far as to say the industry as a whole was moving away from 60 frames per second, and everybody's settling on 30 frames per second right now. which is completely balls. That's not true, even a little bit.
I'll go ahead. We should chalk this up to a bit of a misunderstanding on which direction things are going. Because if you think about it, it could really only go two ways, right? So it's a 50-50 chance that you might screw it up and you might choose the wrong way. They might be like, oh, it's moving this way. And in the direction they chose that they thought it was going in was down. When in reality, it's going up. So it's a simple mistake, man. Flip a coin, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, there's no possible way that you could look at all the games that aren't running at 30 frames per second and decide, but there's this one other game that was also a shitty PS4 port of an Xbone game, and that one's locked at 30 frames per second also.
I mean, there's Thief.
Yeah.
Thief was 30.
Yeah.
Wasn't Dark Souls on PC locked at 30 for a bit?
Yeah, and that was like super bizarre.
Yeah.
And like people were hacking their way around it. And you should just sort of understand that when people start saying, I'm going to modify my game files so that I can get around this arbitrary frames per second restriction, that the industry is not moving in that direction. And if it is, then the industry is stupid.
Yeah.
Like this is not a thing. And
yeah, the whole like more cinematic thing. So this conversation came up earlier. I was talking with Lindsay because this is a topic on Friday Update Arcade, right? And we were talking about it, and like she's like, we're discussing the whole thing, and she was giving me a quick rundown, and she says, yeah, because they said it's gonna be more cinematic, and I was all like, it kind of stopped me for a minute because I was like, well, I mean, they're right. It is. If you look at 60 frames per second, and then you look at 30 frames per second. And then you look at film, which is 24 frames per second. Technically, it is more cinematic than 60 frames per second. It is closer to that.
Yeah, if you're watching The Hobbit, then 30 frames per second is fine. I mean, people watch gameplay all the time on on YouTube, and that's locked at 29.97 at 30 frames per second, basically, like, because that's just what YouTube does, is the 30 frames per second. So you can have 500 frames per second footage, and you try to put it on a YouTube video, and it turns it into 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
When you're watching something, no input from yourself, you're just watching it, 30 frames per second feels perfectly natural.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're playing a game, it feels sluggish and bad, and like you get that sense of, like, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here and just talking about like myself, but when I'm playing a game at 30 frames per second versus 60 frames per second, like there's a very noticeable like feel difference to me. Like I can feel everything just feels smoother at 60 or higher. Like I feel like I can see more of the game world even. Like I don't know, maybe that's a bit weird, but like I feel like at 30 frames per second it's moving slow enough that I constantly sort of feel like I'm missing something. Apparently I'm choking to death also.
You should stop.
That's super cool.
Tell it we're doing a show. Come back later.
Yeah. Or don't come back later. That'd be good. But yeah, like at 60 frames per second, it just feels more natural. And like, it's not so much for me a thought of what it looks like at that point. It's how natural does it feel for me to be playing, like moving my character around. It feels smoother. It feels more immersive to me to have something that as soon as I start to move my character, I immediately see the results of that, versus when it's at half the frame rate, half the time it sort of feels like I'm kind of like piloting the character instead of actually being the character and moving it around.
Yeah, it's so 1/30th a second, right? Which is like what your single frame is. It's fucking slow, man. Like from a camera perspective, right? When you try and take a picture, if you're dropping below 1/60th of a second shutter speed, your shit's gonna be blurry. Yeah. Right? 1/30th is like, you don't do that unless you're like, it's dark and you're trying to capture some kind of still life or something outside, or you're trying to go for that cool like light bleed effect where like you have like cars driving by and it leaves like a streak across the film, like across the frame. Like that's when you go for something slower than 1/60th. You want a little bit of motion in your shot. But in a game, it doesn't work, man. Yeah. And like if you think about it from the perspective again of a camera, the shutter speed being that slow, where the slightest bit of movement is gonna throw things off, like that tells you how long that shutter is open for. And then you take that and apply it to a game. It's like that's how long you're looking at that one frame. It's long enough to create that blur effect, which is probably one of the reasons why they have motion blur in every other freaking game. But it's but yeah, well, it's slow, it's sluggish, it's noticeably. Everybody that has played games, or anybody that with eyes knows the difference between 60 frames and 30 frames per second.
Anyone that's spent time seeing things.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, and like you mentioned motion blur and like talking about shutter speeds and stuff. Like, sure, in a film, 30 frames per second feels a little bit more natural. Well, 30 frames per second feels more appropriate for a film for a couple of reasons. One being that that's what it's been for so long, or 24 frames per second, excuse me. That's what it's been for so long that it's just what people are used to. So when you watch a movie at 60 frames per second, you're like, this is weird. This isn't watching a movie. I don't understand what's going on. I'm watching a sports broadcast now or something. It's sort of how it feels. But like the other thing is when you're using an actual camera, like there's that little bit of motion blur that makes a lower frame rate a little bit more acceptable in those cases, because you're just watching it and your brain will just sort of assume the frames in between because it blurred a little bit, and you're like, okay, so he's moved over there and it feels okay. And so like Pixar and people that will do like CGI movies, they actually go to great lengths, and they have like all this weird technology that they use to actually add motion blur into the stuff that they're rendering, because it just looks weird. It looks blocky and crappy and slow. If you were to somehow go and watch Toy Story with all of the motion blur removed, it would look blocky and crappy and slow. Yeah. Like you're watching something at a stupid low frame rate. It just doesn't feel right. In games with motion blur, I have a similar problem with games that have heavy motion blur. Like if it's motion blur to the extent of something like a CGI movie or a normally filmed movie, you constantly feel like you can't see what's going on. Like everything is just a mess on your screen. And I don't know, maybe my eyes are just bad or something, but I have trouble enough picking out little bits of Like, oh, that a dude or a rock? I can't tell.
Yeah, well, because it's not your eyes that are tracking. It's the camera's frame in the game that's tracking, and so your eyes are always keeping up. So that's why that's why motion blur is so noticeable in games. You can't have a 1-to-1 motion blur in games to what you would experience in real life, because your eyes are tracking in real life, so you're focusing on that thing. But in a game, you're using your thumb or your hand or whatever to move the frame, and your eyes are just keeping up. So if you have blur everywhere to simulate that there's motion there like you would in real life, then everything would look like a mess. You wouldn't be able to see anything because you're trying to focus on things that your eye naturally would not look at.
Yep.
So that's why it sucks.
Yeah.
That's why 30 FPS is just overall just bad.
Yeah. I could see if they were trying to make the argument from the perspective of what everyone's doing is just releasing the same, they're just locking it down on the PS4 for simultaneous releases.
Or maybe one game can handle it and the other one can't. Or one console. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, oh, obviously, the Xbone can't support 1080p 60, and so they dumbed down the PS4 version.
Yeah, but even then, that's actually what they said at first. And that's the sort of thing that's but why? Why would you make it worse for your, Microsoft must be shoveling them some money or something to do this, because I can think of no other reason why you would purposefully make the game look worse on the other platform. Maybe, I know they spent a ton of time, there was some article I was reading earlier about how somebody spent 2 years making the, whatever the cathedral is. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now. But modeling it to be exactly perfect. So maybe at 1080p you can sort of see things that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise. Maybe their thought is, if we muddle this a little bit, then it doesn't look quite as bad. But I would be surprised if that's the case. I don't know. It's just a weird choice to say, well, only this console isn't as good as that one, so we're gonna lock it down. What if they'd done that? I'm pretty sure it's coming out on the Wii U too. Are they gonna just limit everything to what the Wii U can do?
I know, and it's not console gamers have been playing 30 FPS forever, right? This is nothing new on that front. It's the PC players that are that typically look at this and they say, "Oh God," But now that the next gen consoles are out, and we're looking at them as a PC game, we look at them as, oh cool, it's a PC I can put in my living room, and a lot of people have those expectations because it's the next gen. That's not the case, and it's starting to show. It's oh well, yeah, 900p 30 FPS. It's 900p is honestly, it's not that bad. 900p versus 1080p, right?
Yeah, it's not a huge difference.
Yeah, it's not a huge difference. You're not really going to notice that on an average TV, 40, 42 inch or something like that, right? Is that the average TV now? I have no idea.
I don't know.
But you're not going to notice it there. The frame rate thing, an average console gamer will probably pick it up and it'll be oh yeah, it's cool, yeah, it's this thing. That's it.
This is what games look like.
This is what games look like. Yeah, when they play a game that's cranking at 60 FPS, they're probably oh, this game is smooth. And that's it. That's the end of it. Whereas one of us, a PC player, PC gamer, would be holy shit, the FPS on this is crazy. It's 60 FPS. What the hell? We would immediately see it.
Yeah, and I think a big part of why this is exploding so much is just sort of a function of the blurring of the lines between the console and PC gamer that's started to occur in the past 5 or so years. Where, like you said, these consoles are basically PCs now. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of ways, PCs can be treated as basically consoles. When I was playing XCOM, I got it through Steam. I was playing it on my PC, but I was sitting on my couch playing it with a controller on my TV because it just felt better that way. And the way that my system is set up, I was able to do that without really much of a problem. So, it is... I don't know. I guess I'm just saying, I feel that the console gamer and the PC gamer aren't quite so different anymore, and there's a lot of overlap between them.
Yes, a lot of overlap, yep.
At least there's a lot more PC gamers that I think are getting into consoles these days.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is because like we're no longer in the era where consoles are just crap compared to what your PC can put out, because we like these new consoles just came out. The Xbone and the PS4 just came out, and they're not 10 years old compared to what's in my PC. So yeah, I'm sure if we give it another, I don't know, 4 years, then PCs will be right back to being the master race where you can get the best games. They always look the best on PC, because I can't believe that we don't have 4K screens on this. I can't support a 4K resolution on my PS4 and something like that.
Oh God, yeah, that's coming.
Yep.
Damn it.
It looks so much better. Which, by the way, side note, if I look really, really hard, I can see a pixel on my desktop right now, but I have to get really close and look really hard.
Yeah, let me try that.
Like, actually spotting a pixel, like, is kind of difficult. It's possible. I can definitely see there being an improvement at a higher resolution.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that 4K is really, like, how far things need to go. Like, we appear to have skipped several steps in between here.
I mean the pixel density on monitors is getting pretty insane. I would say, probably one of the first ones to introduce that to like the masses would be Apple with the Retina screen.
Yeah,
it's like how everything looks on, like when the Retina first came out, right? It looked amazing, because a lot of us are still on shitty. I worked in an office, so all of our monitors were like these 4.3, Dells, right? With like 1280 or something. Like, I can't remember what the hell it was like. I can't remember. They're 1280 by 1024. That's what the resolution was. It was just bad. So it just made everything just look like crap. But now, like, I just bought a new monitor, and the pixel density on it is really good. So it's like, when I look at the screen, I don't see pixels at all. But 4K, like, this thing's not even 4K. It's a brand new monitor. It's not 4K, but it's like, I can't imagine like a 4K on a monitor like relatively, like, roughly this size or so. Like, websites are gonna look stupid.
Yeah.
Websites just aren't gonna look good.
Yeah. Well, like, I'm looking at my phone right now, which is the LG G3. So it's got a 1080p screen on it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it's bigger than that. I don't remember. Anyway, it's at least 1080p, and on a 5-inch screen, I cannot see a pixel at all. Like, I cannot pick them out. Like, I have to get my phone so close to my face that I can't, like, see it anymore.
I have to take off my glasses to look.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, it seems like maybe 1440 or whatever the next one up after that would have been. I don't, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
1800, I guess. Sorry, I was trying to math, and then I realized I was holding my phone, so I decided to cheat and use the calculator.
Hold on a second, carry the one, and
yes.
Multiply by pi. The
Actually, I was using an Abacus app in my phone for some reason. No.
You what? Do you have an Abacus app on your phone?
No, but I should, because
okay.
I feel like that would be the best. Like, that would be the best way to take something high tech and the most low tech possible use for it. Like, you could only get more low tech than that if you somehow found like a hammer app or something that
they have like draw in sand apps.
Yeah, I guess. I just feel like since computers, like, the Abacus was sort of the precursor to the computer, because the first computers and calculators and stuff were basically just they function the same way as an Abacus. It's sort of like, this is what your granddaddy did.
Yeah.
So speaking of monitor resolutions, actually, this is a pretty good segue. I'm proud of this segue.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can have more segues like this.
We should actually mention every time we do a segue. just so
That is a
people
segue.
recognize like how well it's done. That way,
Yeah.
at the end, like after
We can like
after we get
rate
to,
the
like,
segues.
yeah, we could do like a special, like, maybe over the holidays or something like that. We can't really have time to do a show. We could have a special show that's just like the best of segues.
Yeah.
And we can have people rate them, and we can have like a top 5 segues or something episode.
It'll be the best of Don't Get Your Hopes Up. And it's like, we don't even call it the best of segues. Like, the best of Don't Get Your Hopes Up. And it's just
all
segues. This is the best parts of the show. Listen, we told you. So yeah, anyway, this Evil Within thing with the 2.35 to 1 letterboxing thing.
Yeah.
What is this?
There's another name for this ratio that everyone's familiar with. It's called Cinemascope.
Fucking weird.
It's called Cinemascope, yeah. which seems weird. So Cinemascope, if that sounds familiar, you're not quite sure what it is. Think of like Sound of Music, right? Think like old time movies when it was getting like super wide. What they did at the time, and this is not necessarily related to this, but kind of is. Like what was happening was they wanted to figure out a way, because back in the day, if you watch old films, they're like 1:1 or 4:3 ratio, right? They're not like widescreen. They wanted to go wider. They wanted to be bigger, but they couldn't pack that much information on like one chunk of film. Like one piece of film is only so large, and if you try to like crop it or something, then it's gonna look like shit when you blow up the big screen. And so what they figured out was what they did was they created a lens, and this lens is like an anamorphic something lens, right? And what it does is it's actually curved, so that when you look through it, it's kind of like looking through a fisheye, but it's only fisheyed horizontally. So you're taking more horizontal data and you're squishing it into that square area that you have to fill. And so then when they blow it up full screen, they basically just reverse that when they're projecting it, and then they have this beautiful, super ultra wide Cinemascope 2.35 by 1 ratio, which is
the original lossy compression.
Yeah, right? That's exactly what it was. You lost so much on the horizontal, but it's just like, when the vertical was all there to look good, and Dorothy looked great and all that stuff. Yeah, actually, I don't know if Wizard of Oz was actually filmed. I don't think so. But still, it was really cool. Like, they were just doing whatever they could to outdo each other in terms of like more in this tiny little area, just like we do now with data.
Make it wider. Needs to be wider.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds familiar, right? It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So my monitor is actually this ratio. So I have like a huge boner for this right now. And it is like it's like a 2.35 by 1 ratio boner too. So it's like it kind of matches. Yeah. So it's like,
that's very wide.
It's very, I should have done 1 to 2.35, I guess.
No,
yeah, okay.
No, I'm going with the other way around.
Damn it.
Very wide and very short.
Yeah, thanks.
Anytime, buddy.
It's like the big volume button on old stereos, right? So it is. Okay, anyways.
Yeah. Sure.
So it's they're going with that for the Evil Within, but this is Bethesda's game that's coming out. They're going with that ratio on everything. Like, on my monitor, I have this ratio, and I like it for this. Whenever I watch a widescreen anything that has been, squished letterbox down to 2.35 to 1, right? Cinemascope. I now have bars on the sides and on the top and bottom. And it's not that amazing. But I can't imagine, like, do players really want, like, if you look at the videos, like, the GUI is even in there. I was like, oh, maybe the GUI is going to be, like, in the letterboxed areas. No, the GUI is actually in there. I mean, it's not a whole lot there, of course, but still, like, they really are, like, kind of, from what I saw, like, they're chopping off the top and bottom to give it this wide feel.
Huh.
And it's also 30 frames per second too. But just to kind of throw this out there, for the PC version, you can mod this. So you can actually change it to do whatever you want. But, from a console perspective, or even just from the perspective of why they did this, that's the part I think is the most interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, I don't see personally, and maybe I'm just, like, I'm going to do this thing where people will quote me in 2 years and be like, oh, look at Laura, you didn't know anything. But I don't see this Cinemascope, like, Excuse me. I don't see me getting this sentence out. I don't see this like monitor ratio really taking on. Like, too much is now built around the where did my brain go? The whatever the
16,
current aspect
16:9.
ratio is. 16:9, yes.
Mhm.
I kept wanting to say like 19 by wait, that's wrong. So it's 19 by no wait, that's still wrong. Why am I it's wrong every time I say it. I don't understand. Yeah, the 16:9 aspect ratio is so much of like everything is built around that right now that it would take like ages for this 2.35 by 1. There's got to be like 235 by 100. There's got to be a better way to express that.
Just say Cinemascope.
Cinemascope. Yeah, there's got to be a better. It's going to take a long time for that to really catch on if that's the case. Like I can see the value of it in terms of like I want to have more screen real estate. That's cool. Like I don't think that like there's no benefits to it or anything. It's just there are too many people on the same 16:9 monitors that they've had for ages that are not going to want to change that. And there isn't really a reason to, unless like, I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely weird. It's definitely weird that the UI is inside the letterboxing. That one that surprises me a little bit because I was the same way. I was like, oh, they just want to make it look more cinematic, so they're limiting it to 30 frames per second. But then they're also doing this like Cinemascope like letterboxing thing. Okay, cool. I get that. Like I can understand why people would be like, we want to present it with the letterboxing because the letterboxing looks cinematic. But then to like also put the UI and stuff inside that is just weird. Like if you're gonna do if that's what you were after is like let's make this look cinematic, then you would not want the UI over top of that at all. You would want to make use of the letterboxed region.
So I have kind of a theory of why, like one of the reasons why they'd want to do this. It's a horror game, right? And so by restricting the amount of screen that you see, you're essentially creating a more claustrophobic environment, right? By enclosing and cutting off certain areas that you would normally be able to see. Yeah, it's kind of like, have you ever gone to like a dark area and then like, have you ever used NVGs before?
No.
Like any kind of night vision, anything, like even on a video camera.
Yeah, on a video camera I have.
It's okay, so if you're in a pitch black area and all you see is that video camera, like that, it instantly adds to like the mystery of like what is in this area because you can only scan so much of where you're at. So having that letterbox, that extreme letterbox, because 16:9 used to be like the letterbox, right?
Yeah.
So having that extreme letterbox is really just kind of squishing it even more and giving you less that you could see. Without, hopefully, obviously, without taking away from the content. So this is actually this is something that I toyed around with a lot as a photographer. There's a couple shots that probably like a year ago or so, I started kind of going through this phase of this Cinemascope thing, but I wasn't really doing it. All I was doing was I was taking a 16:9 photo because all my photos are 16:9. Like I shoot regular, like 4:3 or whatever the hell the ratio of like a camera is, and then I'll crop it to 16:9 because I think 16:9 just looks better, right?
Yeah.
But then there was a phase where I was like, it was kind of like, we must go wider, right? It's like, I must crop it further. And so I was doing it, but I wasn't doing it all the way. Like some of my photos, like I'll have like the letterbox bars on the top and bottom, but they're like only like maybe 60 to 75% transparency. So they're just darker areas of the screen. I look at it now and it's like, I can see what I was doing is like, I wanted that tight, like really closed in area to kind of maintain that focus. But at the same time, it's like, it just didn't quite fit because the content was not right for it. And so now I'm looking at now taking that same mindset where I'm looking at it now, it's like looking at this game, it's like, is that really the time for that? Like, is this where it belongs? Or later on, I think I'll look at it and say, God, we really should have done that because it sounded cool and maybe it looked cool, but it really kind of took away from all of the stuff that we had. We did it just because.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The Oculus is 16:9, right? The Oculus Rift.
The Oculus is tough, right? Because it's basically it's not 16 by 9 necessarily because it's supposed to wrap around your field of vision. If you look at videos of it, it's just like this weird resolution that's just like I don't know how many vertical lines it's supposed to be or whatever, but it's just like round and just oblong. Like I don't know. It's just
because part of what I was thinking with this was like, well, maybe they want to make it look good on the Oculus, but I guess really any resolution, because if it's with head tracking and you can look around, like it really doesn't even matter what the resolution is at that point, because you're only going to be able to see what your eyes are looking at that particular moment. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I'm kind of curious to see, because like I haven't actually followed up to see what people are saying about that. Like I'm sure there's a Reddit thread somewhere where somebody's like talking about it. There's discussion going on. So I'm actually kind of interested to see what people think. Hey, you know what? Maybe some people that are watching this have some comments about that, because that's something that you don't see in games except for the actual cinematics.
Yeah.
Not the gameplay.
Yeah, definitely. Like you do see it a lot in the cinematics, so maybe like, well, let's just carry that through into the actual gameplay. I don't know. It's interesting. It will be very interesting to see how people react to it, and like I haven't looked into what people are saying about it at all. So yeah.
Well, it's moddable. Everything's fully moddable. So people, honestly, the people that we go to for this, they're probably not console players. So they're probably just like, fuck, I'll just fix it my own.
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure that most people would try it the other way first, though, just to see how it is. I don't know. I'm very curious. I suppose it's possible that like this comes out and people are immediately like, oh my god, this game is so much better since it's letterboxed like this. I'm gonna go out and buy a Cinemascope monitor right now so that I can experience this the way that it's supposed to be.
I don't know if it'll actually do that without zooming. Like I don't know if it'll actually support that widescreen natively. Because most games don't. Like, again, like I play Destiny, and guess what? I have 2 big-ass bars on either side of the monitor. And every time it goes to a cutscene, guess what? I have 2 more big-ass bars on top and bottom. So it's like, I don't think that... I know that a console, unless you were to set your monitor to zoom, right, to fill the frame, like which is annoying, because think about it, the GUI of the platform itself, of the console itself, is not going to be formatted for that. So anytime you want to exit out to the Xbox dashboard or to the PS4 dashboard,
you wouldn't be able to see.
Yeah, exactly. So from a console perspective, it'd be annoying if you had an ultra-wide monitor, but I think that's pretty rare, honestly.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
Now I'm interested in playing this game.
Yeah.
I was kind of interested. I was like, oh, Bethesda, yeah, sure, yeah. But now it's just like, you know what? Now I want to kind of see what they're thinking.
I'll probably just watch some YouTube videos of it.
Yeah, I'll probably just play Destiny or Space Engineers.
Yeah.
That's about how I do it.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. No,
never again. So the new Borderlands is coming out next week, the Pre-Sequel, or whatever it's called. You can play as Claptrap. That's about all I know about it, because that's where I stopped reading and went, well, yep, I'm getting this.
You know, you are... That's kind of funny, because you are totally the Borderlands guy. Like in terms of like people I know, right? Like I don't know anyone that plays Borderlands like you did. Like when Borderlands 2 came out and you played the shit out of it.
I didn't really, though. Like Borderlands.
Well,
like
you
the
streamed it.
Like
I watched you stream it, and you were like playing. Yeah, you seem.
Yeah,
like,
I played it with Shizzle on stream for like 12 hours. We played it, and then I didn't touch it again.
Like, did you complete the game?
No, I've never finished Borderlands 2.
I assume that you kept going. Shit. All right.
No, it's weird. Like Borderlands 1, I finished and like got halfway through another playthrough. Borderlands 2, I've started to play like 30 times. I've probably got about 150 plus hours into the game at this point, all of which are the first 15 hours of the game, like 10 times over. I just keep starting it, and then I play for a while, and then I stop for whatever reason. Like usually something else comes out, so I stop playing it, and then I forget about it, and I don't go back to it. Yeah.
Huh. So wait, so besides Claptrap, what are you looking for in in the pre-sequel.
Well, that's the thing. Like, despite the fact that I've never finished Borderlands, I really like playing it, and I really enjoyed playing the first 15 hours of the game 10 times over. And I really, really liked the first Borderlands 2, and that one I did play all the way through. So, like, I just like the way that the game plays. I feel like it does a lot of things that Destiny does, but better. Like, in terms of the way that the loot exists, the social capabilities of Borderlands are just leaps and bounds ahead of anything that Bungie's doing with Destiny at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of what makes Destiny good, Borderlands does better. And so it's a game that I really like playing. There's a lot of other stuff that Destiny does that Borderlands doesn't, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, still, it's just a really, really fun game. So every time a Borderlands comes out, like, I'm going to be playing that. I'm going to. And like this whole pre-sequel thing, like, I don't really know much about the storyline of it. Like, I guess it's a prequel. So, like, yeah, and it's talking about, like, Handsome Jack and how he rose to power and, like, the first Vault Hunters that came out and stuff.
It was a Chinhawk.
Yeah, it was the Chinhawk. What?
No?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he has a Chinhawk, dude.
No, he's got, like, a weird goatee.
No, he does not. He has a Chinhawk.
I don't believe you.
He has a Chinhawk. Go look it up.
I'm looking it up right now.
That's why he's Handsome Jack.
Oh, he does have a Chinhawk.
Yeah, see? That's gonna be for Halloween. That way I don't have to shave.
It's the weirdest Chinhawk, too. Like, it looks like a Band-Aid.
No, it doesn't.
It looks like it might be cybernetic to go with the things on his forehead.
See, that's cool. I'm down with that.
Well, all right. But yeah, like,
right.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to playing it on not my PS4. Because that's why I wanted to talk about this. Isn't so much that, like, sure, I'll play the game and we'll probably talk about it after it's out.
Yeah.
But this is what's weird about the Borderlands Pre-Sequel. It's releasing on PC, on Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3. Not on Xbox One or on PS4. These consoles have been out for a year at this point. What are you doing, Gearbox?
Yeah, it is kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
because like people are gonna have to go and plug in their old shit again. I know. First off, I realize that a lot of people still don't have next gen consoles.
Sure,
but you're not giving. You're basically like still confining your IP to that old generation.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the people that do have the next generation consoles traded in their old ones to get them. Like, you go to GameStop and you're like, here's my PS3, I don't love it anymore, give me a PS4 instead. Like, I still have my 360 because, like, to me, the idea of trading in a 360 to get a PS4 is just, like, that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I have every console I've ever owned still. I still have my old Xbox around somewhere that I look at it sometimes and go, man, I should really bust this out and play some SSX, and then I don't. But yeah, I've got like a Genesis floating around in my garage somewhere too.
Hey, I have a Genesis too.
Yeah, Genesis buds.
Yeah, exactly. I don't do anything with it, but you know,
it just sits in there. Every once in a while, I look at the box and go, man, that used to be cool.
Wait, you have the box?
Yeah.
For a Genesis, a Sega Genesis.
Yep.
Well, shit.
Is this like worth thousands of dollars? Should I be selling this right now?
I mean, it's got the box, man. I don't know. I feel like you could. No, like I don't know. It just kind of feels like something. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. But yeah. Anyway, so like, a lot of it basically means that sure, maybe there's more people still. There probably are still more people on 360 and PS3 than there are on Xbone and PS4.
Right.
Almost certainly there are more people that still have those consoles and don't have the new ones. But there are definitely fewer people like that than there were before those consoles came out. And before the next gen consoles came out. And like it seems like, especially if you're releasing it on PC also, there can't be that much that has to go into like the engine and whatever to make it work on PS4 and Xbone. Like, I'm not a console developer. I don't know these things, but it seems like there wouldn't be too much that goes into that because everybody else is doing it.
Right.
So it's weird, and the only thing I can think, and maybe this is just me being a cynical asshole, is that they want to come out with Borderlands the Pre-Sequel remastered in like 4 months.
I believe that. I totally believe that.
Like, we're going to release it on Xbox 360 and PS3 because enough of you still have your old consoles around that you'll buy it for the 360. And then later we'll release it on PS4 so that you buy it again so that you have the full experience or whatever. Me, I'm just going to play it on PC. But I'll still probably buy it later on PS4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just God, I kind of wish it was coming out on PS4 because, like, I only play Destiny on the PS4, and that's it. And I want to put some justification behind this. Now, granted, there's a lot of great games on a PS4. I mean, I bought the damn thing because there was more better games. I can actually say that. There were more better games on the PS4 than there are on Xbox. Mind you, obviously I'm playing a lot of like indies and whatnot, so that was kind of my draw. Yeah. I still miss the Xbox dashboard. I was over at a buddy's house and he loaded it up and the Xbox dashboard came up and I was like, oh, like I miss all those stupid squares, right?
Yeah.
With ads everywhere. Oh, but anyways, but still, it's like I wouldn't mind if another game came out that was like super awesome and on console. And maybe I don't know, maybe give me a reason to buy the PlayStation TV.
Yeah.
You know, that way because right now my PlayStation is within arm's reach of the computer. And my living room is obviously not within arm's reach of the computer. So I want to get a PlayStation TV, but I've already bought this PlayStation 4 for Destiny, like kind of, right? I don't want to buy a PlayStation TV on top of it. And still only play Destiny. Give me something else, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, like, Little Big Planet 3 is coming out next month, and that should be cool. You ever played the Little Big Planet games?
A little bit, not enough to speak intelligently about it.
Yeah, I played some of the first one on my buddy's PS3 ages ago. It's a really fun game, like. The cool thing about it is that there's like this level editor that anybody can then go and make levels for it. And so like it's just tied into the way that the game even plays. So like you can just get to these like user created levels really, really easily. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of neat. People come up with really, really crazy stuff. It's like Trials-ish, like not quite to the degree that you can actually do in the Trials editor, but it's still surprising the sort of stuff that people can come up with in the Little Big Planet editor, like on a console. So yeah, that's one that I'm looking forward to. That's PS4 exclusive. I kind of feel like there aren't a ton of actual exclusives in this round of the consoles, though. Like, there's another Uncharted game coming out at some point. Last of Us is on. The Last of Us Remastered is. I don't remember if it's already out or if it's coming out soon.
Yeah.
That's only on PS4.
Yeah, Last of Us it is out because I played it at buddy's house. It's got the new updated of course the thing I remember is it has this really cool like picture mode that you go into where you could freeze the action at any point and then move the camera around and even change like the depth of the field and like what color grading you're gonna do and the color temperature and like you can do all this really crazy stuff. Like it's a camera tool that lets you set a scene or pause a moment in the game and then basically take a really cool snapshot of that scene, not just a screenshot. Anyways, cool. So that's how I know it's out on PS4.
Yeah, so there's a few exclusives, but like, and like on the Microsoft side of things, like there's the new Halo game that's in the works. I can't really think of another Microsoft exclusive off the top of my head, but that's probably just because I don't have an Xbox, so I'm not looking at them.
No Man's Sky is on PS4, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah, I think is it? Oh, I'm fairly certain it is PS4 exclusive. Bloodborne, that was something we just saw a trailer for. That's all I know, really.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like a lot of games, like, well, maybe not so much anymore, but like a few months ago, I would say if I have the choice of this game between console and PC, I'm gonna play it on PC. But like Borderlands, if it was on PS4, I would totally buy it, like for PS4 and not for PC. But instead, I'm like, I don't want, like, even though my Xbox is still like sitting there and still hooked up, and I could totally just play it on Xbox, I would rather play it on PC than on my Xbox. So
yeah.
So
yeah, so it's funny. I always talk about like your PC, you hook up your TV and everything. I have a PC down there that's hooked up by TV, and I use Steam to remote like any other games that I want to play. And it's just so good.
Yeah,
like the experience is just so good. Again, it's another thing going against the whole buy a PlayStation TV, buy a PlayStation TV. It's like no, but I got Steam. Like I could probably actually rig something in Steam because Steam will launch anything you throw at it, right?
Yeah.
It's like I might be able to actually get something that could take the PS4 stream onto the PC because I have the capture cards, right? And then have that app open up full screen and I can play it downstairs. It'd be perfect. I feel like that could work. Oh wait, no, it wouldn't because the controller wouldn't work. Right? There's no range on that. Damn it! Fuck. All right, that's it.
Pretty decent range. I don't know how.
I tried playing in the bathroom and it didn't work. It was like getting stuck.
That's funny.
It kind of worked, but it didn't. Yeah, it didn't work as well as I had hoped.
You just have to get a Vita so you can do the remote play thing. God, I want a Vita so much so that I can play Destiny at work, like on my lunch breaks and stuff.
That is. I wish I went to work for stuff like that. I wish I left the house to go to work.
Yeah.
It's not, it's funny. It's like Destiny's just a really kind of a good example of a game that you're playing a lot, right? And it's like you want to play it, but it's like God, that would open the door to so much stuff because there are so many platformers and just so many games in general that are just like little $10 or $15 games, or even the ones you could get for free for being part of the PSN network or whatever it's called, right? PS Plus.
Yeah.
And it's like all of these would be very Vita compatible.
Yeah, for sure, and like. It's really, really smooth, too. Like, Stephanie Lylera came through our area the other day, and she had gotten a hold of somebody's PS Vita, and she was, like, playing Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition on the Vita.
Man, that's great.
Yeah, and it was so, like, it was like, going through our work, like, guest access Wi-Fi, and then across the internet to... whoever's I think it was this guy named Matt's like PS4 at home, which was on his connection. Yeah. And it was just playing like that, and it was totally smooth, and like there was no like visible, like I'm sure like playing it you would probably be able to tell
30 frames per second.
Delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like still it was like it was not at all like trying to play a Twitch broadcast or something. Like it was super snappy and like responsive and everything. And like she was playing D3 and it was no problem at all. And I'm like, man, I could get so many more bounties done.
I know, right? Like all the PvE bounties is like totally, yes, let me knock them out. Go punch things, 20 things or something. Okay.
Yeah. I even think the PvP might be passable.
No,
depending on, well, I mean you play with a mouse and keyboard, so
okay, yeah, you're right.
I play with a controller because I'm cheap.
Well, no, I mean the
aim assist is not bad. The aim assist is actually pretty good. It'd be interesting to try anyway.
Oh, to play on the Vita?
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll work. Honestly, I think overall, you definitely wouldn't be as good because you don't have the real estate to see things. So like if the sniper is like way off in the distance, you get that gleam, right? Yeah. The reflection in the scope.
The light that shows up when you're about to die because
right. The red laser basically. Yeah, that shit. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. It's gonna be something that it's gonna be more difficult to see on a smaller screen. Inarguably. But if you're one of those guys that runs around with an auto and a shotty all the time, and you're in small maps, then you're probably fine. You do rumble all day long because it's always whatever moves, shoot it.
Yeah.
Like there's no recognition whatsoever. If it moves, boom, it's dead. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be interesting to give it a try. And like if it doesn't work, then just do the PvE bounties. Like no problem whatsoever. I can patrol 6 times in Cosmodrome. Like whatever. It's no problem at all. So speaking of Destiny,
yeah.
Since we've been talking about it for a while now. It's that part of the show again, kids.
If you have absolutely no interest whatsoever in Destiny, why don't you go ahead and just have a nice day. We appreciate that you've tuned in this week, and we'll see you again next week. But now we need to bitch about shit because what?
And honestly, this is a discussion.
Can I
that
stop
think...
for a moment and go get a refill for this? Because I feel like it's needed.
Yeah. Well, like this is the sort of thing that's even interesting if you don't play Destiny, because it's just like that, almost like that watching a train crash. Even if you don't drive trains, you still kind of want to see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's big enough news where honestly, who everybody is covering it right now.
Yeah. So the Iron Banner is the new event. It only runs for a week. And it kind of barely runs as it is. I think is probably a fair way to put it. So for people who don't play Destiny or aren't paying attention, or like somehow play Destiny but less than I do, which is an accomplishment, because I really don't get much time to play it. Iron Banner is the Crucible. It's PvP, but supposedly, like normally, the Crucible disables level advantages, which nothing ever really says what that means, but it's like normalizing everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
It's supposedly like normalizing everything, yeah. So every piece of armor has this amount of defense on it. Excuse me. Every weapon has this amount of attack, and there's still little other things that can factor in there, like legendary gear will usually have 2 of the little extra things on it. Exotics can have 3 sometimes, I think. And those will still apply, but like if you upgrade the damage on your weapon, that doesn't. That's the normal PvP in Destiny. Iron Banner supposedly just shuts all that off and says, nope, your level and your gear, all of that applies 100% normally. Like this is I should have actually pulled up their description of what it is, because it's hilarious. And they were like, no, it's your gear matters now. Your gear, you have to have better gear, and everything applies 100%. And so when they were first talking about this thing, people were like, so this is just going to be like there were a lot of people that have been running the raid like crazy in preparation for the Iron Banner.
Yes, or running around farming mats so they could upgrade their shit.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, the Iron Banner is going to come out, and I'm going to get decimated by somebody with slightly better gear than me if I go into the Iron Banner and I haven't like fully upgraded everything, like gotten all my Ascendant shards and everything. I need to be light level 30 to go into this, because otherwise everyone who's light level 30 is just going to mop the floor with me. And then a level 4 equips a white, like, auto rifle and wipes the floor with everybody. And what? What do you mean level advantages are enabled in here? It certainly seems like the opposite of that. Like, I don't know. I was playing some earlier with Squishy. And I think it may have had something to do with the fact that like he's light level 28 and has played a ton and is just generally better at the game than I am. And I think like our matchmaking was then getting screwed up because I was just getting dominated by everything. And it was just like,
what are you?
Now I'm 26, but I was 25 at the time. I
what's
just
your
hit
class?
26. Warlock, Sunsinger.
Okay.
And I didn't have my self-res yet either. So that it's like the whole point of being a Sunsinger. That and the second grenade, and I still don't have the second grenade. So anyway, I was just getting dominated. And I was like, this is bizarre. And like I'm getting murdered by level 14s with just crap. I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand. I think that the way that it works is it still normalizes. It doesn't really normalize. It just applies some sort of like buff or debuff based on your level to some degree. And like, I think because I have a blue primary weapon. I haven't gotten I'm like almost done with the exotic chain to get the bad juju, which I guess isn't that great anyway, but like I'm using a blue, so I haven't really been like, oh, I need to go and get, because I have this exotic weapon that I've almost got. I haven't been like in a big hurry to go get a legendary that I'm just gonna supposedly replace in a couple of days. And the bad juju is getting buffed at some point, so I don't feel too bad about it being kind of weak right now.
Oh, okay, good, because I have the bounty for that.
Yeah,
I think. I don't even know. I can't keep track. I have so many exotics now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, like I've done 1/100th of the bounties of anybody else who plays this game, and I managed to get an exotic weapon bounty out of it somehow. I don't know. I also got like the gold ship that, yeah, whatever. Anyway, but yeah, so like my theory is that it still does some sort of normalizing. It just normalizes based on your level and your gear to some degree. And because most of my gear is pretty good at this point, but my weapon sucks. Like, I feel like it was looking at my overall gear and saying, okay,
like
you should
your
be about
gear
right
score
here.
or something?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's very, I definitely was noticing, at least at first, that I just did not do shit for damage compared to everybody else. Like, I would unload a clip of my auto rifle into somebody and barely take down their shields. And then they would,
This is in Iron Banner?
This is an Iron Banner, yeah. And then they would, well, obviously I wouldn't hit them with every single shot from my auto rifle, but, like, just spraying at them like crazy. Like, I would say an easy, like, 10 to 15 hits from the auto rifle, and I'd barely take down their shields. And then they would notice me 30 seconds later, turn around and shoot me once with a scout rifle, and I'd die or something. It was definitely weird. I ended up queuing for some more a little bit later without Squishy, and it suddenly got way better, and that's bizarre. Like, not just in terms of now I'm not running into people that really, really know what they're doing, but even just like I'm no longer getting one shot all the time. So I don't know, maybe it match makes based on your gear, which kind of defeats a lot of the purpose of having the better gear. I don't know.
So here's my personal experience with it, and I've done probably 20 matches or so, I think, so far in Iron Banner, maybe. It's been busy a couple days. I was actually hoping to max out that rank, like to get rank 2 right away, but I think I'm at like maybe almost halfway through rank 1. Because rank 0 and then rank 1. Yeah. So as a Titan defender, like I feel like I am tankier. I'm pretty good at the game just in general, right? In the PvP aspect of it. But when I play IB, I definitely notice my KDR is much higher than in Crucible. Now, I've not swapped back over to do Crucible again. Like, maybe this is just like placebo effect. Like, hey, the pressure's on. I need to play better, right? Like that's totally possible, right? Maybe I'm getting in there and I'm just actually playing better because I feel like it's supposed to matter. Today, for example, I kind of started feeling like, oh man, this is not really worth anything, and my KDR kind of dropped a little bit, but I was like, maybe I'm just not paying attention. But it could be that I don't feel like it means shit, so that I don't apply myself. So, but what I notice is I do feel like I am tankier. Like I feel like it's a little bit harder for people to kill me, and I haven't proven this yet or whatever, but. Like Titan defenders have a sticky grenade, right? I think another class combination has it too. But yeah, you throw it.
Has it too.
Yeah, so
I use it all the time. It's amazing.
It throws out 2 bursts, right? You throw it, it goes boom, and then boom. The second burst always kills somebody. If I hit someone with that, they're dead. They're done, right? So if I die and they're stuck, you're stuck. It's like Halo, right? If you stick someone, they're done, right? The end. That doesn't happen in IB. As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm hardly ever killing people with the stuck grenade, and that's like really weird. It's like, so what is it? Is it because I'm not damaging them at all? And maybe in Crucible, I was always doing at least a sliver of damage? Because what I was noticed is that they'd come out with like a sliver of health left, right?
Right.
So what? And this entire time in the Crucible, I was doing at least a little bit of damage before I chucked it at
somebody
them.
else was hitting them or something.
Yeah,
Maybe.
but it's like, so it's like, or is this the scaling that's happening? Like it's just a little bit, just enough to make it so that people are a little bit more durable, because the experience of this person that got stuck when he's like, oh, I'm done. Oh God, I'm still alive. Okay. Right? Like he's now thinking, hey, I'm a little bit tankier. And I've experienced this myself.
Yeah, it's very, very strange. Like there's YouTube videos and stuff too of level 4s like just dominating people in the Iron Banner. So there's definitely something weird going on with the gear scaling. I noticed that some people I can stick, like most the way that the Sunsinger sticky grenade works is it does like 3 times its normal damage if you stick somebody with it. Does like 1,500 damage, which is a lot. Like that's a rocket strike amount of damage
on PvE, but in PvP your health is 200.
It still does like 1,500 damage. It just does a truckload of damage.
Yeah.
It might be like 500. Either way, it's like maybe I'm imagining a 1 in there. Either way, like it does more damage than people have health typically. But every once in a while, I'll stick it to somebody in the Iron Banner and they don't die.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I'm seeing something very similar there. So like obviously there is some sort of advantage to gear. It's just weird how it seems to go out in practice. Like,
but
you would expect.
Okay, so as a tankier person, I feel like this is how I should be. You know,
Right.
like yeah, this is about how durable I would expect to be. But now looking at the squishier people, they're either going to feel exactly the same, or they're going to feel, squishier than they normally would in Crucible.
Yeah.
But not by much. Again, like I hardly notice it, and I don't know if it's placebo effect or not. And it could be the same on the other side. One thing that is like proven is that there is virtually no difference in damage output depending on what weapon you have or what level you are, right? Because this guy made a series of videos, a piece of candy, right? He made that's his YouTube name. He made a series of videos where he showcased this different damage output that he was doing. And some of the arguments that I saw, like, I knew that, the fanboys are going to come out and defend the game to death and whatever, it's like, yeah, I'm a fanboy too, but, I'm also a pretty logical person. It's like, this guy is showing him going in, same character, shooting somebody, 24 headshot, right? And then swap it to like a piece of shit level 1 rifle, 24 headshot. No. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah. Like they were really, really selling this hard as your level, you need to have the best gear if you want to do well in this thing. And like, it's funny because that was like totally turning me off to even go into it, because I don't have the best gear. Like I get maybe 3 or 4 hours a week to even play this game on a week where I play it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have a whole lot of extra time to play it at the moment. And so like I was like, this is just not for me. This is for the people that have been playing since launch nonstop. This is for people like Mike who have all this gear and they can actually go in here and not get their asses beat. I'm just going to get my ass beat, so I'm going to do something else. Like I didn't even bother with it. And then I started seeing all these reports and I was like, maybe I can go in there. And then lo and behold, I went in there with Squishy and got destroyed. But then when I was queuing by myself, all of a sudden I was just doing fine. Like to me even, it felt like I felt a little bit tankier. I felt like I was doing a little bit more damage than in the normal Crucible. So yeah, it's just like it's definitely not what they were selling.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely not the gear is the all important thing, level is the all important thing. If you come in here under geared, you're going to get destroyed, sort of thing that they were sort of hyping it up as. Yeah, it's very strange. Well, and the other thing about this too, like, and anybody who's ever played an MMO ever would have been able to predict this. So you only get reputation with the Iron Banner if you win.
Right. Yeah. I know. This is the best part. Go on.
Yeah. There is no penalty at all in Destiny for leaving a game. whatsoever. Like the penalty is that now you have to wait in the matchmaking queue for another 20 seconds. You have to sit through the load screen again. That's the penalty for leaving a game in Destiny.
Man.
So guess what? Every single game in the Iron Banner, the people that actually care about the reputation, which that's another thing to talk about in a second. But the people that actually care about getting the reputation for the Iron Banner, they load in, they play the first 2 minutes of the game, maybe. And if they're not winning, they leave and queue up again. Because that's the best way to get Iron Banner rep, is don't stick around in losing games. Like, you're wasting your time at that point. Like, it's just a complete waste of time to hang out in a game that you're not going to win if you're just trying to get Iron Banner rep.
Yes, I mean, you might randomly get a weapon or something, right? You might, yeah, sure, but that's a roll of the dice. And honestly, if you really want to go that route, you could kind of argue that the gear that you could get by winning a match, by leaving and getting a match, actually getting a match by cheap gear, right, is going to be better than what you probably have on if you're really vying for those blues that you get at random when you win a match.
Yeah.
So yesterday I played a lot of and I bitched at Shizzle Man for like about as long as he would take it, about how I would get in, and it was yesterday and the night before, and I would do really fucking good, man. Like, I was at the top of the leaderboards, but always on the losing team. Like, I was at the top of the leaderboards for both teams, right? And I would still be losing because the team was just bad. And if you look at the matches, on some of the matches I did, it was like, it would show, like on Destiny DB, we list everybody that was in the match, even if they left. And so there'd be like 10 people on my team because that's how many people were like leaving and coming back. And you know what? I was like, you know what? Fuck it, forget it. Like, I did that for 2 days and I was like, I can't. Like, it's just, today I got fed up. I got in, I rage quit a game because it was like, I got in and I noticed that like 2 of the guys were AFK, and we moved to take B and we just got like annihilated, and then we rezzed and then 1 guy left. So it's like, I had 1 guy that left and I had 2 guys that aren't there. So it was like, what, there's 3 of us versus like 6? And so I said, forget it. You know what? I don't care.
Enjoy your skirmish.
Yeah. So I just left. I left the match and then I re-queued up for another match, and I won. And I was like, you know what? It's like, I could see why people are doing it. I felt like such a dick for doing it though. Like, but I did. I must have left at least 5 matches today because I'd get in and, you know, once they double our score, that's it. It's done. Like, no. Like, if I'm at 2,000, they're at 5,000. It's like, you know, there's plenty of room for a possible comeback. But if you look at your scoreboard and you see that, you know, 2 people are at 0, they're not doing anything for your team. Like, that's it. Like, just leave. Yeah. And it's a glaring flaw on Bungie's part when they've already put in, this is not a problem in the Halo game, the later Halo games, like, or I think like Reach and 4. Like, this is not a problem there. They have things in place to combat this. And the fact that it's there and not here.
Yeah, like, honestly, it seems like there's a lot of lessons that they learned in the Halo series. And I guess 343 made a couple of games too, and I don't remember which ones were Bungie and which ones were 343 at this point. But like, there were a lot of lessons that they learned from Halo that are just not in Destiny. Like, some of the level designs for the multiplayer maps, they just have these areas that you're like, what were they thinking? This is a console shooter. Why are there 12 different possible angles that I can be attacked from here?
Yeah.
The whole point, like, the way that you play a console shooter is you learn where the attack points are. Yeah, you learn where the lanes are. You learn where the line of sights are, or lines of sight are. You learn the maps so that you can then predict where you need to look, because you can't swing your, like, unless you're like using a Chronos Max or something, you can't swing your camera around in a big hurry so that you can see where everything is. Like, on a PC shooter, I'm a little bit more okay with having like maps that are wide open and stuff, because, or at least not necessarily wide open, but where there's several angles of attack, because then you can sort of like, it's easier to actually look and see if there's somebody there. And if you start getting shot, it's a little bit easier to react and try and like outshoot them in a hurry. In Destiny, like, I play on the highest sensitivity settings with the controller, and it still takes me a good 1.5 seconds to even spin around and look around me. And that's way too, like, you die in that 1.5 seconds easily. And so some of the maps, like, they're just so open in weird places that you have to go through to get to different points or something. It's not like I'm taking the dumb route when I should have totally just go like, oh, you're dying because you're walking through the big open space in the middle instead of working your way around to the side. No, like, everywhere is just open. Like, to get to the point, I have to go through this big open area. To capture the point, I have to be in this big open area, which begs the question of why am I so worried about that particular point? Like, if we're looking at the whole capture point mythos, the idea being that you're trying to hold on to strategic points, there's nothing strategic about something that can be attacked from every possible angle behind cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird, some of the lessons that are not there in Destiny. And I'm sure it's stuff that they can fix, but I just had to get that off my chest. I was a little upset about that earlier, and I was raging a little bit. And I just kind of needed to, okay, I feel better now.
I mean, I think the bottom line is, it's not at all what it was advertised as. And actually, I have pulled it up because I know someone's gonna say, oh, well, it didn't say that, you're gonna get annihilated if you're lower gear. Which you're right, it didn't technically say that. Here's what it says. It says, you're invited to enter the Crucible for a limited time event that will test your power as a Guardian. The ratings on your gear will make all the difference. Unlike other competitive playlists in Destiny, Iron Banner is not a level playing field. Bring your deadliest weapons, equip your sturdiest armor. The Iron Lords are seeking the most powerful warriors who call the city their home. For those brave enough to fight and to win, there will be new rewards to serve as a warning of the prowess in the arena. Forge your legend in the fires of the Crucible. So it's saying, bring your deadliest weapons, equip your sturdiest armor.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I don't think of a level 4 white gun as the deadliest weapon. Yeah. Well, and it's funny, too, because it points out the rewards. And, like, I have crap for gear. And I went and looked at the rewards, and I was like on the vendor, and I was like, I don't need any of this. Like, why would I want this? Like, I haven't done the raid at all. I just hit light level 26 earlier. I have some gloves that I bought off of the Dead Orbit vendor, and I have a sniper rifle that I got in an engram, and I have like a rocket launcher that I got with Squishy earlier in like the weekly heroic strike or something. And those are my oh, and I have like the Queen's Wrath helm and chest piece. And it's like, okay, cool. Like I have the casuals gear plus like I have the casual with a little bit of luck in that Squishy ran me through a thing gear. I don't want these gloves that you're selling me, Mr. Iron Banner man. I don't really care about this machine gun that you're trying to sell me. Like, cool, it's a machine gun. I'm not going to use a machine gun. Like, why would I want a machine gun? This is not, these are not pieces of gear that I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And I play for an hour a week. Like,
try again next hour.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's bizarre. Like I saw you tweeting too that like the rewards are just not as good as the raid gear that everybody's had access to for ages. So it's like,
and people are getting raid gear to prepare for Iron Banner, and they find out like I have 2 pieces of raid gear and exotic. I am 1 raid gear slot away from having a perfect 30, right? And I look at this gear and I'm like, oh well, I mean, I guess I could say it for transmog, but there's really no other reason why I'd get it. You can't even break it down into materials that are useful for you.
Yeah, it doesn't turn into Ascendant shards. So
the Queen's Wrath was not that amazing of an event because you're essentially doing the same missions, just a little bit harder. And the bounties were just a little bit more tedious and grindy. They're actually very grindy. And that lasted for 2 weeks, about a week too long, obviously. And then we have the Iron Banner, which honestly the bounties are much more challenging. Like I have a bounty that I'm sitting at 14-15 right now, and it's just like, oh my god, like it's something that I feel like I could totally do, but I just don't have the opportunity to do it because it's not going and shooting dregs all day, right?
Right.
And I appreciate that, but the result of that, the thing that's more difficult to do is actually going to reward me less than doing PvE stuff, right?
Yeah.
Than doing this other crap. And it's just like, oh, it just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
I actually kind of liked the Queen's Wrath event from my perspective as a super casual, because like it was stuff that I could actually do. Like, sure, the missions were hard, but like I had one friend that did the Queen's Wrath missions with me, and like it worked out. Like we were able to get through stuff. We were both dead at the end of one of them and somehow still finished. But it was pretty amazing. It was the one where you have to kill the Gate Lord. Mm-hmm. And I fired a rocket at the Gate Lord and died, and he was already dead. And then the rocket hit him and killed him. And so it was like, good work, well done. And so we were both sitting there, and we couldn't res because the mission was over. So we just had to sit there and like wait. And that's when I got my chess piece. But like, one of the big problems that Destiny has for people like me who can't really spend a ton of time on it, just don't really get a whole lot of opportunity to do stuff, but are interested enough in the game that we've gotten to max level, and like, well, we've gotten to 20, and we want to keep playing the game, is that almost all it's just the lack of social features. Like, there is no real good way, like, other than going to, what is it, like r/fire teams or
DestinyLFG.net.
DestinyLFG.net. Yeah, I have to go to an external website to find somebody to play with. And if I've only got like an hour to play, I don't really want to go through all that.
Yeah. Like,
I don't want to post something on a Reddit and hope that someone in the next like 5 minutes decides to send me an invite. Well, aside from the fact that I don't really want to give out my PSN ID on Reddit, because like people will. I guess I could make a new Reddit account, but that's weird. Because like I'm listed as a Blizzard employee on the WoW subreddit.
Oh yeah, so you want to use something else?
Yeah, exactly. What was I saying?
The social features are definitely lacking. You know, honestly, the biggest thing that's really carrying this game, and you know, I do really love this game. I think it is great. It plays, it keeps me coming back to it every single day I play. Even the days I'm like, fuck this game, I will still play it. Yeah. It's the fact that the gameplay and the combat is so good. Like, they actually made the game fun to play. The rewards for playing are a little lacking, but the game is still fun to play. And that's something that is just like, it's to their credit, of course, that they could fuck up on so many. There's not even a volume slider for music versus everything else. Yeah. You have to listen to the game's music all the time. At the end, you can't even hear if you try to use a PS4 chat, you have the in-game chat is like, it always drowned out by the music. I don't hear what people are saying half the time. And you're in combat. Of course you can't hear that. No, it's the music that's doing it. It's not the gunfire.
Yeah, like it's kind of the opposite of every MMO that's come out in like the past 5 years, in that like the getting the gear and the grinding and all of that sucks, but the game is just fun to play, so I keep playing it. Like, it's almost like the MMO side of things is actually taking away from what would have been a game that was just fun otherwise. But at the same time, like, the fact that it's there and the fact that I can get something, it sort of keeps me coming back a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
It's still fun. There's still like, there's still fun to be had just in the gameplay itself. And that's that is like the biggest thing that's carrying this game, man. Because if the gameplay was terrible, I'd have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I think a lot of people would have been done a long time ago.
Did you see the Smosh Games Honest trailer for Destiny?
Yes.
They called it they called it, what was it? Like, console gaming's hottest 7 out of 10 or something like that.
Yeah, it's like the worst game that we can't stop playing or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And like calling it the summer's hottest or this fall's hottest 7 out of 10 is just so accurate for this game. Because like when you look at it, and like we were talking about this ages ago, like when you look at the game from the perspective, like if you look at it on paper and you look at all the issues with it, you go, there's no way that this game should be rated higher than like a 7 out of 10.
Right, exactly.
This game it has all of these crippling flaws to it.
Yeah.
But it still hobbles along. Like it's missing an arm and like half of its leg is broken. But it still manages to hobble along.
Oh, man. I mean, the good news is that, I mean, knock on wood, whatever, but like it really only can get better. Like what it's missing is content, right? So they're gonna give us content. I'll be honest, some of it is probably gonna be free because usually when a game is panned so much in like reviews and everything, like it's usually the updates end up being free. Yeah, the DLC ends up being free. GTA did that for a while there, and they were absolutely not. Well, the console the campaign was like 9 out of 10, but the multiplayer was definitely, it needed some serious work, and so a lot of that DLC was actually free.
Right.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the DLC we see come out is actually free because players would feel like, you know what, I deserve this stuff or whatever. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what that means for the season pass people or anything like that, but I think that that's something they'd probably end up doing. So it can only get better.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely like looking forward to like more events, more stuff. I feel like the Iron Banner was sort of a flop, but like I think they're learning. I hope they're learning.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe things will be better next time around.
Well, there's supposed to be the weekly update coming out soon.
Yeah.
DJ from the Bungie community representative, he said that they're going to be addressing this specifically in the weekly update. And I thought that was supposed to be out today. Today being Thursday.
Maybe they're waiting until the Iron Banner is over.
Yeah. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's next week or something. But I don't know. We'll see. But that'd be really interesting. Wait till it's over and then like, all right. So hey, you guys seem to love it because this many people played it, and that's great. Yeah. It's like, yeah, no. They need to address
it because it was there, not because it was particularly,
It was more bounties. It's all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just more bounties and the possibility of winning.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see. Next week, maybe we'll have some shit to say about the weekly update.
Maybe.
But, or maybe we'll be playing something else altogether. You never know.
Yeah, maybe we'll stop talking about Destiny next week. Maybe 6.0 or Borderlands or something, and we'll just stop playing Destiny altogether. But don't get your hopes up.
Oh.